Okay. Let's see. Got quite a few people on here now. And this link and we can get going. Okay. You guys hear me?
Yes, sir.
Awesome. Well, you want to keep your background? That's pretty nice.
The Northern Lights.
Yeah, I
Little
will.
trippy.
There you go. Try to share this link real quick. Facebook is not cooperating.
Facebook's a piece of shit.
I will wholeheartedly agree with that. My 200 Chrome tabs open probably don't help my computer either. So,
We're the same.
hey,
I just,
I feel like you never know when you're going to need that tab again. I usually create like multiple windows and profiles in Chrome for different things. And like earlier, Kevin was asking for something, and he's like, "I'll go search for it if you don't have it." I'm like, "Oh, I definitely have it. Just give me a second." I'm like, found the tab, I gave him the link.
I just have to click 50 things to find it.
Exactly. Man, like doing that with like the group tabs in Chrome now, like where you can like group them and like name them and colorize them and stuff. A game changer.
Yeah, my problem is like my one computer's too slow, so I like pull up my buyback stuff and then it takes 25 minutes to load. I'm like, oh man.
Yeah. And I definitely give my MacBook a run for its money. It's definitely sounds like a little Boeing jet running most of the day, but it works. What's going on, Beck? You refreshed from Miami?
All refreshed, man. Been working
Yeah.
all week, grinding up.
When did you leave? Friday?
Yeah, I left Friday. I got back Friday at like 1 o'clock in the morning and then took the kids to Great Wolf Lodge for the weekend.
Oh man.
Took the kids to the water park. They had fun and then got back like Sunday night and then just right back to work.
Nice. Nice. Yeah,
They
I
had a good
hate red eye flights like that. When wouldn't say it's necessarily red eye, you got back at one, but it's still shitty, like getting back late. How far you live from the airport?
luckily it was just 30 minutes. This one I flew
Not
right
too
into
bad.
town. Normally it's 3.5 hour drive over a mountain pass for me. So luckily I did right into town because the Miami flight for me was like 180 bucks right from my city. Luckily, I don't know how, but it was super cheap. So I'm like, all right, cool, all the way across the country for basically nothing.
That's cheap. That's
The
awesome
only
though.
flight I paid for,
Oh
my
yeah, I
airline
forgot
miles
to.
would have been like 25,000 miles. I'm like, no, I'm gonna pay for it because I'm gonna get a buttload of miles for paying for it. So
Shit.
I'm just
What you
gonna,
got
I'm
going
gonna
on,
buy it
Nathan?
this time.
Well, I was gonna say I don't think I've ever showed anybody my back room in my biggest
No, that's
store.
fucking huge.
Nice, man.
Yeah,
Fancy.
and then we have a nice retail area. My office. Got another office in here.
Dang.
That's not an office.
Then we have a nice conference table for client meetings.
Dang. How big is that? 3,500 square foot?
Ooh, bigger than that. Probably like I
Five?
think like almost 6,000.
Wow, it's enormous.
So yeah.
It's nice though.
Oh yeah, it's not bad. Very cozy.
You probably pay the same for that that what some people pay for like 1,500 square feet or less though.
Oh yeah. I think our part, we do, God, what do we pay? Our park is we split it like that other side, not the conference room area, but I have remote technicians working over there. But I split part of that with my sister company. So I think I pay close to 4 grand for part. So I can't
Not bad at
complain.
all.
I
No.
mean, you hit it right on the nail, Josh, right on the nail.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's
So
like
what are we talking
they're
about?
I was just gonna talk post GRE. What's coming up. We got what's new. Anybody doing anything new for summer, end of spring? You got end of school, so summer specials or marketing. Any takeaways from GRE in general? Anything that's kind of on the plate today?
Got it. Okay. Yeah, I know for us, I mean, GRE was good. It was good to get out there and meet everybody. Got a couple of um, ideas from vendors. One of the things, a couple of takeaways for me, talking with a couple of other people is around retail sales. So building, got home, already got our inventory live on our website, building out that page, going to be putting them on a QR code on a business card to hand out to every customer. That way they know, hey, we sell devices. If you're in the market for some, or you have a friend or family member, here you go. So we're going to put that on the back of like our referral cards. So that way it's like published everywhere. And what else? Yeah, partnering to resell insurance, not necessarily from where they get money, but from a wholesale perspective to where I can bundle those in with our current protection plans that we're already selling, just to be able to add more value and increase the average contract cost. So that'll be good. And I've already had all of my yearly sales and everything already planned out and set up in our CRM. So I get surprised every time a customer comes in with an email for something I've set up 6 months ago. I'm like, oh, I
You
forgot,
forget.
forgot we were doing that. Like I got a customer that came in today that was like, hey, I just got an email about Memorial Day that you guys are doing sales, and I'm like, oh, are we? Didn't even know. So it's always good to have a lot of that stuff set up in advance. So it's one less thing you have to worry about, right? Having that having that done on a I do that on an annual basis where we sit down on the round table and say, okay, what kind of deals are we looking at doing? How are we going to position ourselves? And then going ahead and, spending about a week or two cranking everything out. That way, that's one less thing.
It makes sense and puts you in a better position because you already planned, right?
Yeah.
It's easier than thinking, oh shit, it's, a week before whatever holiday. We need to get stuff made or, email campaign or, you're just kind of rushing to get it done. And, you're obviously going to be more prone to mistakes. And at the same time, you're not prepared for it. So you're not doing it far enough in advance to where you can warm customers up or anything like that.
Sorry, I had to switch over. I had a customer who was, I sent a contract to calling me back. I guess he just wanted me to know that he signed it. So, anyways, what was that, Josh?
Oh, I was just saying, like, it helps to just like plan it in general ahead rather than, something late, right? It's proactive versus reactive, right? You're not doing something last minute trying to plan anything. It looks like I'm probably frozen on video. My internet's great here, but just being prepared rather than like, oh shit, we need to do this or we need to, try to figure something out for this upcoming campaign, right? You're more likely to make a mistake or not do something right or miss something, and you don't have enough time to actually get everything done or push out the campaign, right? So sit down the 1 week and brush everything off and figure it out, plan it all in advance, and like you said, you forget about it, right? Like it's already done, everything's set up, and you don't have to think about it again.
Yeah, and I know like for a lot of the stuff that we'll have like discounts or maybe we're doing a massive sale on a certain product. I've already got some vendors lined up to where I have my card on file with them, and I'm like, look, ship me the inventory. During this period, I know we do that a lot with Dell. And so randomly, like I said, the store will get a buttload of devices, and they're like, "Where did these come from? What are they for?" And I make sure to have them put on the memo, like if we're doing a back to school sale, to put on the memo back to school sale. That way, it lets everybody know, hey, this is the inventory for the back to school sale. It just makes it a little bit easier from a planning perspective because we all know how busy we all get and how tied up everything can be. So it's just one less thing to worry about, truthfully.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. 100%. Do you like whenever you're setting up your campaigns, you're doing everything like from the email to just kind of planning out when you want to have the, mailers sent, stuff like that, or
Yeah, yeah. So I plan it out, and whenever we plan it out, like we'll actually go in there and get all of the marketing items created, the campaigns made. We'll schedule the postcards to get shipped out on a certain date. Um, and if we need any more marketing material, we'll reach out to your team and say, "Hey, we need this. We have a sale coming up," or so we'll do that. I mean, sometimes the what we do is last. Sometimes we will do some last minute things. If news drops about, like, for example, Xbox raising their prices, right? If I got a couple of extra game consoles that have been sitting for a little bit, I might reach out to your team and say, "Hey, I need an ad created for, you know, offloading these game consoles, and I want to focus on the fact that Xbox raised their prices so you can get a good deal with me." So like those things that happen will come out of spurts, but for the most part, everything is pretty much structured out.
did you or has Nick, do you do much computer repair, Nick?
MacBook, not
Gotcha.
necessarily PC. I do
Okay.
not a humongous amount of MacBook repair, but we focus a lot on doing the profitable type of repairs, screen and batteries, things like that. But
Okay.
I tend to do more phone repairs, a lot more. So I would say like 10% of my business would be computer repair, compared to 90% will be phone repairs. So gearing
That's why
into
you're the iPhone
summer,
guy.
I'm gonna be more focused on selling phones and upping my pricing for phone sales. So selling them at a more premium price and getting them from wholesalers as opposed to finding them on like the groups and things like that. That way I can consistently buy them instead of, hopefully I feel like I can purchase on a regular basis, up my margins or up the pricing that I'm going to be selling them at so I can consistently buy and sell devices. That way I have a consistent stock on there. That's going to be my summer goal.
What?
Yeah, that's definitely
Cur
smart.
Curious why? Is it just something you've never wanted to do, like computers and shit, like not MacBooks, but just like computer repair just doesn't interest you, or
I just haven't got into it right now. Just bandwidth time. I just don't have much
gotcha.
time to get into it right now. So once I get through the hiring process here in the next month or two, and I get a couple more people in, then it'll be something that I'm going to get into for sure. Because that's a whole nother avenue that's going to increase a lot more potential of growth because PC repairs is a whole nother market that I'm missing out on for sure. That could improve the amount of revenue coming in, and it could wildly improve revenue that
Yeah.
I could be like, wow, I've been missing out on this a lot. Because I can hear a lot of people be like, oh, that's all I do. And I don't do any phone
Yep.
repairs. And I'm like, well, you should do phone repairs. And people are like, all I do is PC repair. So it works both ways. So it's
Yeah.
definitely something I need to get into for sure and do more of.
Yeah. I'm always
Hard
curious
for
for
phone
people who
repairs.
don't.
Sorry, go ahead, Josh.
I was just saying, like, I was just curious of why. Like, I always like hearing why for like those who don't do it. There's usually a reason, whether it's, like Nick, he just doesn't have the bandwidth to do it right now. It's just something extra that could be a burden. Or other people are just like, I don't know anything about it. I don't want to learn, or anything like that. Or my techs don't want to learn, right? And they'll push it down like that. Like we don't want to learn something new. I think that becomes the bigger roadblock a lot of people run into, and they're missing a huge opportunity. I feel like that's such a slept on category in this space where you already have these customers coming in the door. Why would you not take advantage of working on anything they could potentially bring you? I feel like PCs are just really slept on. A lot of people just don't do it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I want to get into PCs. I just don't know where to start.
I feel like the complexity would be like I feel like Apple products and repairing those are more complex in a way. So I feel like switching into a PC market wouldn't be too much harder on there. It's just, something different to learn on there. So it's a learning process. And then once you learn them, it's just hitting it hard and then going from there.
No, I definitely agree with that. And for your phone repair, do you primarily do iPhone or do you do Samsung too? And do you stock those parts, Nick?
Primarily do iPhone, but I do everything. So I stock all of the S series parts for screens and batteries, and then most of the A series ones. So if I get an A series that comes in that I don't have, like if they need a screen replacement or something, I'll order two of the screens. That way, if I have somebody come in later on, I'll have that screen in stock. That way I can try to slowly build up the inventory because stocking up all of them, it can be difficult stocking them all up unless you want to just hit it hard and stock up everything all at once.
Yeah.
So I can go back there. I don't know how many I have. Probably have like 30 or 40 A series in stock right now, and then all the other S series, maybe missing like one or two of the S series. I had an S21 FE that I didn't have in stock, but I just overnighted it and had it here today. And I told the customer, I was like, yeah, just come by tomorrow. I'll have it in stock for you. That way I can just restock it in and I'll have it hit. And he's going to come by here in like an hour and a half, I think, for an appointment. And I'll be able to do that. But yeah, I do a lot more, but I would say 85% iPhone, 15% Samsung. And I'm wondering, is it the name because I'm the iPhone guy, or is it just because there's not as many Samsungs? That's a question because I do get some people that call to be like, "Do you fix Androids?" Because I know your name's the iPhone guy, and I'm like, "Oh yeah, all the time." And I'll let them know. I don't be like, "No." I'm like, "Oh yeah, of course I do." I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, absolutely I do." So that's another thing. It's like, do I change my name a little bit? Take the I off the phone guy?
I was gonna say just remove the I and then you know, don't.
Yeah, I'm good. Not a big change, but just enough. And then people kind of still familiarate it with it. They're like, oh,
On the
okay,
marketing, you could just strike out the I and just do the phone guy.
right, right.
Yeah, because I know that I mean in right now the United States for market share, iPhone has the highest market share, about a 58% last I checked for iPhone, and the rest was Android. So, 58%, that's good, but that's still leaving. I mean, it's almost a 50-50 at that point.
Hmm.
How to capture those Samsungs. I know for us, one of the things that Matt had suggested, because I don't like the idea of stocking Samsung parts just because of how many varieties they are. I'm going to, but I think I'm only going to carry the S series, like you had said, what you do, Nick. Carry the S series, but I think I'm only going to carry Phantom Black and Graphite,
Yeah, I don't do the
and that's it.
colors. I only carry like one color, and then I'll mention it to them. I'll be like, I have this color in stock, and if there really is some pushback to the color, I can always overnight the correct color. But
Yeah, yeah.
95% of the time, they don't care on it. And I
Well,
always
no,
do frame. Like
yeah,
I know you can get the OLEDs. I think Cole mentioned OLEDs. I'm not sure if he's mentioning the frame or whatnot, but in frame for me, it's just so much easier. It's so much cleaner. They really do like the way it looks on there. I know the OLED you can retain the same color and everything, but the frame is good. I know how to do the OLED only. I've done it plenty of times. I just like the frame. It's so much cleaner.
yeah. We do it with the frame. We were thinking about doing the OLED, but we figured if we were, we would not have to, but we would want to use like a press tool, just to help out. But we normally do the frame. But I think that's an opportunity that our stores might be missing out on is the fact that we offer same day iPhone repair, but we don't offer same day Samsung repair because we just don't carry those parts in stock. But if we
Mm.
did, we'd be able to, win those deals. I feel like.
Yeah, I can't tell you how many times I've won the deals because they're in stock, even telling them I can overnight it. Be like, oh yeah, I'll overnight it. I'll have it here in the morning and we'll be good. And so many no's. But once I started stocking them, they just started saying yes because once they can think about it, then they have options. They'll go to the carrier, they'll try to upgrade, they'll try to do other things. And that's just my experience. Once I started stocking them, I just started getting so many more yeses. Even with the higher pricing, I started getting a lot more yeses, and that's when I started stocking them.
Yeah.
The only reason I would do the OLED only is if there's like a humongous price difference. Like if there's like $100 price difference between the in frame and not in frame, then I'll do the, out of frame generally. Like on some of the newer ones that have the titanium frames, they generally are pretty expensive.
I gotcha.
One pro tip for anybody that doesn't know, but do not buy your Google Pixel screens from anywhere other than iFixit if you don't have a pro account because you're going to
Right,
save
that's right.
substantial money, like substantial.
That's a good
Oh,
tip right there.
I found I was looking for an S23 Ultra screen, and I'd heard that Parts for Cells has service packs for super cheap. IG, MS, both were like 220-ish. Parts for Cells was 185.
Yeah, whenever they do have stock and it's there, I mean, I will say that there's times where P for C is definitely a good alternative for Samsungs. Nobody just ever talks about them. I don't think they have a great history though. So
I mean, I don't know what their other parts look like, but I mean,
yeah,
service
that's
pack,
same.
service pack. So
Yeah, 100%. That's what I'm saying. Like, I know people use them specifically for that primarily as like their backup or, finding a better deal, especially on those older units that you may not find in stock otherwise.
Yeah.
The reason I was even asking about Windows computers was actually I'm curious if anybody's like truly taking advantage of obviously the Windows 10 ending and Windows 11 kind of upgrade stuff and trying to find ways to make extra money and bring in additional revenue from getting people upgraded and stuff like that. Or that brings in the opportunity to, hey, you're only running on, this computer's X old. We could get you a new build, or we could upgrade this one, give them options, but just a potential, other way of getting some additional revenue in the door.
Yeah, we're doing a Windows 10 end of life campaign right now for not just our business customers, but also our residential customers. That's actually, ironically enough, what I'm working on right now is I've got a list and we're building out a mail merge. And so that way we can start by sending out the emails and then we'll follow up with phone calls. And right now I have on the residential side, we have about a total of 75 devices of upsell opportunity. And on the business side, we have 150 devices that we'd be able to sell either upgrades or replacements. So going to be trying to hit that list hard between now and the end of the year. And then we'll also be doing a Windows 10 end of life direct mail campaign to a lot of the local businesses around our area. Really pressing hard on the security aspect of it, as well as um, compatibility of applications losing support over time.
Yep. Easiest play for money. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
whenever I work,
I got the customer that I sent the contract to immediately during the net or the evaluation. We noticed that two of his machines were outdated, and I sent him a quote and got approval, and it's like $4,200 for two machines, replacement, setup, on-site delivery, the works. And we're probably going to be making like 53% gross margin on that.
it's so easy. I mean,
So
that's the
so
beauty
much,
of it. That's what I'm
so
saying.
much,
Like, it's almost free money, right? Like that's why I was curious, like, for some people that don't do it, it's like these are the examples of, the opportunity it can bring. And not everyone's going to, be a deal maker, right? Like there's plenty of PCs that are going to be headaches for sure. But I mean, just these kind of opportunities, you don't see them as much with a Mac, right? Like Macs are just stable. There's no issues with stuff like this. You're not really seeing like an opportunity like this. So that's where like the PC difference comes in. And I kind of like the fact that, it's there because people can have that extra opportunity to get more revenue based on the fact Microsoft's just rolling something, out end of life. And it's like, hey, we need somebody to help all these people. And you could be that guy and you could charge whatever to upgrade. You could get new PC builds. You get a customer that maybe came in for a computer repair that didn't even know you fixed iPads or phones, right? Like it just it's endless opportunities, I feel like, is just branching out into that area. So PC is always my favorite. We did the same thing at Geek Squad when I worked there way back in the day. Like whenever there was opportunities like upgrades, people would just, yep, no problem. Let's do it. They didn't even question it. Like you just talk about security and privacy and stuff, and it's just like an instant, yeah, like they understand, like they don't want to put anything at risk. So
Yeah, and we do the same thing. Like if we have a computer in our hands, we'll do the same thing. We'll look at things like, how much RAM they have. What is their current storage capacity level at? We'll look at, hey, what version of Windows are they on? Are they on the most current and up to date? And then we'll talk to them about, tune up, memory upgrades, drive upgrades. If they have a M.2, but they're able to take an NVMe, talk to them about converting over to an NVMe. We'll resell them on a protection plan for security to get that residual. Um, for like $20 a month, they can cover two devices and they get that local support. And if they want, we can remote into their PC from from home and, help them out from that angle too for like $50 every 30 minutes. There's definitely a lot of potential opportunity there for that for sure. And then once you start doing things like that, then you can have a huge minefield worth of data that you could just leverage on a on a monthly basis. Like I've got a computer right now that I pulled up, residential customer. They're on Windows 10. They're not able, it's able to take Windows 11, but here they are at 80% utilization on their storage size. So I could upgrade them to a 1 terabyte SSD, and they currently only have 8 gigs of RAM. So, talking to them about upgrading their computer to Windows 11, increasing their RAM to 16, and bumping their drive up to 1 terabyte. That'll easily turn into like a $300 to $400 invoice right there.
it's just crazy. And I feel like, I'd say back in the day, but like
Back in
whenever I worked on PCs, I should say, the biggest headache obviously was always trying to keep the PC in its current state while maintaining the data and just fix it, right? As to where now I feel like it just need to copy that user folder, reinstall Windows and be done with it, and not even have to mess with like the headaches of trying to figure something out because those were the worst parts of PC repairs or troubleshooting was you could be working on the same computer for 6 or 8 hours trying to troubleshoot something software wise because, and I guess it really came down to the point where a lot of stuff was not as much web based back then. It was all software installed. So you might have an old version of QuickBooks installed. They have to have that, you don't have the disk or install for anymore, and they can't have an upgraded version, and their QuickBooks file only works with this or so forth. There were so many compatibility issues, but I think a lot of that is gone now with a lot of stuff being more web-based. So now I think a lot of times people are just wiping the computer and just backing up the user data folder and just dropping it back over, fresh install. Here you go. Like they don't know any different and it's good to go. So I mean, I think anymore, that's been the way to go. And that makes, PCs even better to work on at that point if you can pull that off.
You would think it's not as common today as it was years ago, But yeah, there's still folks that are like, I need my '07 version of Publisher because it doesn't come with business standard and I can't get used to it. Or I have Quicken, right? I need to get my version of Quicken installed. Or, I've got QuickBooks Desktop that lost support from QuickBooks a while ago. They're trying to force me to online, and I don't want to go online. So you need to that's still happening. That's still a
Uh,
thing.
I mean, I guess I shouldn't
But
say
it's
I'm
not as common.
surprised.
It's not as common though.
The older generation, we'll say boomer generation that's still running their mom and pop small business are typically those people that are doing that. And those are the people who don't like change and they've been doing it for so long and like they just like they're committed. They're like that stubborn person who's got the house that's surrounded by like tons of commercial buildings because they're just holding out to sell that. Their house is 70 years old and they just want a bigger payout than what they've been offered. But so like that's the typical customer that is doing that kind of stuff, and those are the ones you'll still deal with. But the general user, I feel like anymore, there's nothing really saved on computers as much anymore either, which has helped, right? Like you have Google Cloud, you have iCloud for Apple. Like you're not saving as much. Like I don't hardly have it. I don't think there's probably anything saved locally on my computer. Honestly, anytime I save something, it goes straight to iCloud files. Like there's no, I mean, I guess it's locally on my computer in a sense, but people going from having all their stuff backed up straight to their computer like they used to where everything's kind of already backed up. So it's easier to get rid of stuff. But like you said, you're still going to run into pitfalls of people having those old versions of software. But then you also
Yeah.
come into that Windows 11 play, right? Is there compatibility beyond that? Then you have to, that's where you have to, where do you step in to be like, okay, well, look, here's this isn't going to work, in the next 6 to 12 months. So can we help you build a plan to get away from this software to get into something that you can work with, or I don't know, become that problem solver for the customer to potentially get another opportunity there as well.
Yeah, and then also, that brought up another point with customers, or when it comes to customers and their data. A lot of stuff is in the cloud, but a lot of the times, we also sell backup to the cloud solutions. Because if you delete it off of the cloud or delete it off your computer, and that file is connected to OneDrive, and it'll delete it off of OneDrive if there's a two-way sync. So then you're screwed. And so having a backup to your backup, it's funny to think of, but it's the truth. You're backing it up to the cloud. If you fuck up and delete it from the cloud, it's gone. So how do you retrieve that? So that's another upsell opportunity.
Agreed. With that being said, actually, my wife is somebody who's very paranoid about the cloud and all of her stuff being, all of her photos, kids, stuff like that, just being in iCloud. She's like, what if something happens? What if something happens? I'm like, something happens to the Apple servers, like we have way bigger problems on our hands than like to worry about your photos because they're synced all over the world at this point. So like if something, you can't get them back, then there's a bigger issue. But like that it ended up with me, having a Google Photos subscription as well, to dual upload them to there as a backup, right? So now she's in a
Yeah,
peace of mind that I pay $10 extra a month for to have 2 terabytes over it.
yeah,
Okay, let's see what else. What else? PCs, that was one thing I had down. But I know people, there's still a lot of people out there that aren't doing them, and it still cracks me up. But like Nick said,
yeah.
if
Even
you're already
yeah, for
busy.
those people, yeah. I mean, if you're selling, I mean, my thought about one area that you could do to start getting into computer repair, especially if you're already doing device sales, like phone sales, start off small and start selling computers. Refurbishing the computers, get familiar with the hardware. That way, you're not necessarily practicing on customers' devices, but you're practicing on your own devices. And you may even want to do post it in a community forum, like, hey, like have a massive recycle day where you just like post out to the community and say, hey, if you got old electronics that, I mean, even if you get comfortable with data, right? Like, hey, bring me your stuff. We'll give you your data for free and we'll recycle your machine. and then you have a shit ton of devices that you can practice on, refurbish, and sell. Right? Even with the end of Windows 10, like one of the other areas that we're going to be looking at doing is, doing something like that, but we're going to be putting a different operating system on there. Like a Linux-based operating
Yep.
system, or like there's Chrome OS. Like Chrome
Yep.
OS lets you install it on devices that aren't necessarily supported, so you can wipe it, put a supported device on there. Sell it for $100, sell it for $200. You're not making a lot on the device, but guess what? It's first of
Still.
all, it's not going to the recycling bin, and you never know, that person that is looking for a $100 to $200 computer. They may be going through a rough time in their life, but they have friends that may want to spend more.
Yep. Agreed. I mean, our area, we definitely are not a MacBook area. We're more of definitely Windows laptops, cheaper computers for that reason, right? Like lower income stuff like that. But like that stuff, anytime that he gets an opportunity to buy a Windows laptop locally, like it'll be gone the next day. And he could double his money on it, but like there's still a demand for it. We just don't have a good enough source to continuously get like a decent deal on them where it's like, okay, where can we still offer the customer a decent deal where they feel like they're getting something affordable and not trying to compare it to Walmart, right? Because like anymore, the cheapest of the cheap laptops are like what, $300? Like I haven't looked in a long time, but I mean I have to imagine they're fairly cheap at this point. But yeah, if you can put something together from an old laptop, throw like you said, Linux, Chrome OS, something on it, as long as they make it basic use and they have web-based operating system for that, it's a win-win, right? Like it serves the purpose, they get what they need, and it's a win. So
Yeah, no, that's definitely correct.
A good place you can get some computers from too, if you're near them, is any recycle companies that's nearby. So like for me, there's one maybe 15 minutes away from my house, and I went to them and I got 50 old computers. Um, one set was from a school. It was like their old computers, but they were all Windows. None of them were Chromebooks, and then the other ones, they were just super old. So I just trashed them. I took them in the backyard and shot them up. The uh, the Windows computers, I think it was 21 or 22 of them, and I paid $127 for like 30 of them. They were just gonna trash them. They were gonna scrap them for gold. So I paid $127, got 21 computers, and we all they need are batteries. We upgraded them to Windows 10. I'm waiting on the batteries and the chargers to come in, and I'm gonna sell them for 150 a piece.
No.
oh yeah. Yeah. That's the key, man. It's like it's still a good enough deal for people. And, a lot of people I feel like are just okay with buying used at this point, right? Like that's why used device sales have just went up, right? Like I feel like outside of your carrier deals where people are getting free phones, trading in broken ones, whatever, like outside of that, I think that, the used device market's still going to continue growing no matter what. Like it's people that understand it and then look for value and understand that, even buying locally from a shop like this where they're going to get support, they know they can go and trust the people. They're not buying it from somewhere off Facebook Marketplace or Amazon where they're not going to have anybody to ask questions. Like a lot of people look past the fact of, trying to sell that whole concept of whenever you get pushback of pricing. Oh, well, I got this device. Amazon's got this phone 25 or $50 cheaper. Yeah, but whenever something's wrong with that phone, you're gonna call Amazon, you're gonna talk to them on chat. They're not gonna care 'cause it's not their, not their device. You're gonna get pushed to a third party. You're gonna have to send it back. Like there's just so many headaches. So it's like, is that difference worth the inconvenience of your time, rather than just being
Well,
able to come in here for me?
actually, funny story about Amazon. A lot of devices that you buy through Amazon, you need to be careful because even if it's being sold through Amazon by the manufacturer, because you bought it from Amazon, they don't honor the warranty.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, if you buy the renewed or whatever, it's purely
Oh,
the
I'm talking about like
warranty.
even brand new devices.
Oh, gotcha.
Like for example, if you go and buy, I mean, I know this because we've ran into this a couple of times, so we just started partnering with manufacturers. But there's like certain computer brands. I can't remember who. There are certain computer brands, certain like network brands where they claim to have a lifetime warranty or they claim to have like a certain warranty, but as soon as you go to file a claim and you show them proof of receipt because you bought it on Amazon, they wash their hands of it and say sorry.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, I did not know that. One thing that you just said though made me think about going back to the PC side is one other benefit that I think a lot of people don't look at whenever even
I
building a PC
think we
for a
lost him.
customer. Did you lose me? Am I here? Am I gone?
Good old internet where he's from.
The storm's gone, bro. It just finished raining. Can you hear me now? No? Yeah? No? Am I back? Dancing. I'm lost. I lost everybody.
Then
Hmm.
once you get, because you're going to get experience on fixing them by just refurbishing them. So, start there, start putting them out for sale. And then, once people see that you're selling devices, it'll start bringing up conversations like, hey, you fix devices too. And then you could slowly roll into it.
That's kind of smart because then you can kind of
Yeah,
see some issues that come into the door beforehand without them coming into the door as an issue, trying to figure it out.
100%.
Because then you're dealing with customers' data at that point, and that could be risky.
Yep.
Okay. Maybe I'm not as frozen this time. We'll see. The storm just finished. Um, what I was going to say is you were talking about Amazon, and it reminded me of like a lot of the things that I always liked about building computers for people rather than being like, oh, yeah, like sure you can get it cheaper at Dell or Best Buy or whatever, but it was the fact that I always compared their 1 year warranty or whatever compared to building everything from the manufacturers, where almost every manufacturer in the PC world has a 5 or more year limited warranty, right? So then you can cover your ass and be like, look, we offer a way longer warranty because we offer and honor the manufacturer warranty as to where Dell, Gateway, any of these other like major brands they're not using, the major brand, parts always. They're using cheaper shit. So there's not as much of a warranty. And that's why they only offer a 1 year limited warranty typically. Obviously there's the reason of, getting that upsell of the additional protection, stuff like that. But being able to sell a computer to somebody, I mean, obviously a laptop you're not going to, but a desktop, you're like, hey, there's a 3 to 5 year limited warranty on stuff. Anytime you have issues, we could take care of you, stuff like that. I think that just adds that additional reassurance where it makes it okay for somebody to spend that extra money and understand the value you're bringing because of that. Because after 1 year, what happens, right? Like they're gonna have to try to deal with nothing. They're gonna call the manufacturer they're gonna get turned down, be like, oh, your warranty's over. It's been past a year since your purchase date. Now they're screwed. And, whether the drive failed, whether the screen went out, whatever the issue is, they're toast. Um, and with you, you have the warranty, you have everything, and you can get it swapped out with the manufacturer and take care of them, and they're happy, right? So it's all comes down to like servicing the customer at that point. You're still providing them a solution. Sure, is it more expensive? It comes back to the Amazon argument. Yeah, I am $50 more for this iPhone than Amazon renewed, but you can walk into my store tomorrow and I can help you troubleshoot an issue if there is an issue. I have a warranty that's longer than theirs. You're not going to deal with the email or phone support with Amazon. You're going to come in here and deal with me. You know me. There's just a lot bigger selling point, right? And I think a lot of people just are too easily pushed over by the customer on pricing for excuses like that. And they're like, okay, and they'll discount it, right? Or they'll try to match it. And it's like, then you're just losing out on yourself by letting the customer push you over by trying to compare you to Amazon. And, at that point, you're just going to do it for everybody, right? It's not going to be a customer. I mean, you're doing it for them, you're going to do it for everybody. So you're effectively
Yeah.
costing yourself money by being a pushover and not holding down to the service and solutions you provide your customers.
Yeah, we offer so on every single like computer device that we sell, we offer a 1 year warranty on it automatically as standard. We did start off when we started for a couple of years, we started off doing 90-day warranties and allowing customers to pay 15% more of the invoice to extend that to a year. But then we just our warranty, um, because my team got really good at fixing them or getting them ready for sale. It just made sense to do a 1 year warranty. So, and that was the confidence, and that's been the confidence booster that has provided our customers with the confidence of knowing that they're not buying a piece of shit because our sales pitch is, look, all of our devices and any device that you buy through us, whether it's brand new or refurbished, automatically comes with a 1 year warranty to give you that peace of mind of knowing that, hey, if anything is going to happen, we're going to take care of it for you. And by the way, we're going to take care of it for you in house and not have to ship it off. So that highly, or that cuts down a huge amount of time that you're without a machine.
Agreed. Um, One thing that I've always wondered how people handle is with data recovery and shops as far as like security, stuff like that, right? So like I know whenever I worked with Geeks Club, we had like a very strict procedure. There was like one machine that was used for data recovery only. Folders were encrypted, like there you couldn't easily access them, stuff like that. But like and how long do you keep that data for, right? Like, do you tell the customer, hey, after we've backed up your data and done this transfer, we do hold it for X amount of days in case anything happens. We can restore it, anything like that. Those are pretty strict and different policies. Obviously, they could vary. I'm just curious, like what yours might be actually, because it's a pretty big deal.
Yeah, it definitely is. And I know for us, we do a 60-day hold period, 60 to 90-day hold period for the client, where our system automatically purges it. Like my team doesn't even get an opportunity to try to go back into it. It automatically purges it. And when it comes to data, so we treat them differently. So data transfer, we back that up and we'll store it, and that gets encrypted to where there's only one technician out of the entire company that has access to that file, or has access to the encryption key for that file. And so, in order for my in-store techs to even be able to get back in there once the data has been stored temporarily, they need to reach out to that tech and get a code to be able to even open up the file to retrieve the information. And then we also have a script set up that after 90 days, that file disappears completely. Um,
Like
and
that.
then for data, and then for data recovery, as long as it's not like physical hardware. So we partner with a company. I know Drive Savers was there, so it's similar to Drive Savers. But we partner with a company that actually we have one of their machines in our store where if there's a recovery that we're not able to move data in a Windows or an Apple environment because it's like the hard drive's failing and we need to get data quick, then we connect it to their machine and then they handle it remotely through a secured network, through a secured static IP for that. So it's definitely it is handled very delicately, to say the least, especially with a lot of clients. And when it comes to the data, we also look at, we don't even really have an opportunity. The team doesn't really have an opportunity to look at the data itself. They only get to see the file size. And when it comes to the customer and us ensuring that they got everything, whenever they come to pick it up, we ask them to look into their information to make sure that it's all there. Because the last thing I want is for us to be accused of, looking into grandma's porn pictures, even though as disgusting as it sounds, there's some crazy people out there, and grandma's going to tell you, hey, don't look at my camera roll, wink, wink. And we're like, come on, not today. But yeah, it's definitely very delicate. You have to be very cautious when you're dealing with people's data and their personal information. And so we've set up safeguards to ensure that, that data is protected. um, and to also prevent, to protect us as a business, right? Because we can't necessarily control as much as we want to trust our technicians. There's a lot of weird people out there. We need to protect our customers. We need to protect ourselves. And if if there is a situation where data has to be actually dug into and screened, then there's a waiver that we have the customer sign that says, hey, if you want us to actually go through with a fine tooth comb and make sure it's a one for one match, just know we may see something. And here's the waiver for that. Otherwise, we're just our system set up to just give us, one for one comparison on how much actually is data is there.
Yeah. That was the interesting thing at Geek Squad 2 was the data transfer service we did to that machine. And there were scenarios, it was similar, right? Like we don't see the actual like file, we would see names, but like naturally, like if you're bored or whatever, you're just hanging out, you're watching those file names, right? Or you walk by and like we're doing whatever. But like there were scenarios where we definitely caught a couple child porn type of scenarios where we had to get police involved and stuff. And again, like it's purely because of the files, right? Like it wasn't even that anybody was snooping through it. The data was just transferring, and you're just seeing these file names go, and it was just clearly obvious. And it just led to like, hey, we need a manager to come see this. So like we they understand, and then it kind of leads from there. But it was I definitely saw a couple stings go down. That was crazy. Where like we call the cops, show them everything. They would do their thing real quick and just make sure they had enough to where like they could stay there. And they would say, okay, we need you to call the customer to come up. And they would be hiding essentially. And once the customer came up, signed for the device to pick it up, they would arrest them right there on the spot. And it was wild to, experience and see. But it was fucked up too, obviously, at the same time, right? Like feel good about taking somebody down, but it's like, damn, this guy thought he was coming up to get his computer.
We
Straight
had
set
the
his
same.
ass up.
Yeah, we had the same thing happen. I mean, it's definitely, anytime you run across stuff like that, it's always found in the most weirdest ways, and it's not even intentional, right? Like the guys
Yeah.
aren't even digging to look for it. But like, what was it? We had one time where there was a his web browser kept on crashing, and they were instead of just like uninstalling and reinstalling, my technician was freaking he did not believe in the 80/20 rule. If it was broken, he wanted to figure out why it was broken, how it broke, what he can do to fix it. It was ridiculous. Anyways, long story short, he clicked on the web browser, was going through the settings, and and um, when he opened up the web browser, you know how it shows you like the on the pane, like all of the links and stuff of like your recently visited sites. And he came across, there was a couple of weird ones there, and he was like, I don't know what to do. I was like, well, we see it. We're not going to click on it, but legally we have to report this. Like by law, we're required to do this, and guess what? We're protected. And we called the police. They came out. They did their investigation. They clicked on things, and yeah, it was child pornography. And they did the same thing, right? We had him come back in and to get his computer because we said it was all done. We made sure that he paid first. I asked the cop to make sure that he paid first for our work. My guys work hard. And then they cuffed him up, and next thing you know, a couple of days later, his lawyer was trying to subpoena us, and we said, "Hey, look, you bet you're calling the wrong people. You better call the police department. Talk to this private investigator, or this and this cop, um, or you could just call our lawyer directly." Haven't heard, didn't hear back from the lawyer since, so
No.
he didn't even we can tell them that's the correct story. But yeah, it's definitely pretty wild when you get into that type of situation. And it can also be scary because, from an ethical standpoint, if you haven't necessarily been put in that position, when you're put into it the first time, you're trying to figure out, okay, ethically, what do I do? Do I just ignore it and pretend like I didn't see it because it's our customer, or do we report it? There's a lot
Yeah.
of there's I don't. I think the law varies by state, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep,
But
it does.
I would definitely encourage anybody out there to like, because I mean, we deal with data for phones too, phones and
Yeah.
tablets. So, this applies to everything electronic device wise that you guys are dealing with. I would definitely encourage you to get in touch with your local law enforcement. Try to get more, try to get very familiar with them and get familiar with the process of like how to report this if you have to, because of course, you don't want to put yourself into a legal battle with somebody if by law, if the law doesn't, or if the law, I'm not going to say it doesn't require you to, but just make sure that you know what your laws are, because in North Carolina, for us at least, in our counties, if we would have ignored it, and we could have been, we could have gotten in trouble for it because
Hey, how
we
are you?
we didn't report it.
Good,
Oh, I
good.
forgot you're in
So
North
sorry I didn't get
Carolina.
back to you yesterday. I got slammed. It was
Oh,
one of my busiest days I've had in quite.
there you go.
Nathan, where are you at in North Carolina? I forgot you're in North Carolina.
We're in the on the East Coast, so we have Wilmington and Jacksonville.
Oh, nice. Okay, yeah, I know some people. Okay, yeah, so oh my gosh, what's his name?
Bo,
Well, Bo, but then the guy that owns the CPRs down there. Gosh, I can't remember his name, but it's been a
the
while.
older guy.
Rob. It's
Yeah, older
Rob.
guy. Yeah, Rob. Yeah, Rob. And
Yeah,
then he has a
Rob.
manager named Amanda. I think she runs both stores over there.
Not Amanda.
Oh, maybe times have changed.
What's her name? I know who you're talking about. I don't
Nathan's
know her
pulling up
name,
his
but I know who.
DMs.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. Yeah,
Yeah,
because I'm very familiar with all of the people in my area, and we always work together, send each other business. So there's enough
nice.
meat on the bones to go around, and
Oh yeah,
uh,
especially in that area.
oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I want to come out there. I saw something about a new water park that opened up. I'm like, well, we're gonna have to head out there.
Yeah, they're opening up a Dave and Buster's in Wilmington. I'm excited.
Ooh,
The kids are gonna
Dave
love
and
it.
Busters.
dad mode. It's
It's
the
more for
adult.
me, but I'll
Yeah,
take
yeah, absolutely.
it.
It's the adult Mickey. What's it? Not oh my
Chuck
gosh,
E. Cheese. That's what I was gonna
Chuck E.
say.
Cheese.
It's
Yeah,
that's exactly what I was gonna
Yeah.
say. It's the adult Chuck E. Cheese for sure.
yeah. My wife and I have gone on like 3 dates to Dave and Buster's. It's hilarious. You see a bunch of kids. I'm like, nah, this place is for me.
Yep. And they
Yeah.
serve beer. It's not just for kids.
True, true.
No, it's an adult fun place. There's no kids in there. That's for adults.
The place
I
for
got
adults is
wasted
where
in there plenty of times.
Adam and Sean went in Miami. That's where the adults are.
Oh boy. Yeah. I still
Jeez.
have plenty of pics.
I only saw pictures of the aftermath. I woke up like at 5 in the morning and they were messaging me at 3:30. I'm like, well, I went to bed at 11, so that was good.
I wish
But
11 o'clock would be a dream.
I went to bed 11 o'clock on
Wait, who's going to bed at
Tuesday
11?
night when we got there.
I went to bed at 11 at yeah,
Not Wednesday night though.
I've said too much. I'm in trouble.
No, I
Hey,
made sure to be back at the Airbnb at 11 o'clock every night
Same.
because I made a mistake in Dallas. So 2 weeks before GRE, I was in Dallas at another expo for MSPs, and I was so fucked up by the end of the week from partying at the evening. I almost passed out, and so I told myself, look, I have to be good. I have to. I have to be good. I can't kill myself in Miami, so especially with the humidity. So I
Mhm.
had to take it easy. I made sure that Papa went to bed at 11 o'clock like he was supposed to.
I
We
just
went
saw
to
the
an
Zoom
awesome
chat.
restaurant right on the beach. Can't remember the name of it. Oh,
Uh,
oh my gosh. Oh,
I was
geez.
back at
They
the
had we
hotel
went to
for
this restaurant where they
Adam.
had
yeah.
oh, geez.
I had Bible study every night at 10 o'clock. I don't know
They
what
had
you
a
guys were
whole
doing.
menu dedicated. Yeah, right. They had a whole menu dedicated to margaritas. And by the time I was like ordering my second beer, this dude next to me was on his fifth margarita. And I was like, yeah, maybe take it down a notch. I don't know. I couldn't do it. Starting to get old.
Yeah, I
I loved
definitely
it
getting
though.
old. Oh, am I still frozen? No, probably not. Oh, I think I am still frozen. No, maybe,
You're in and
maybe.
We
out.
can
No.
hear you. I don't see you.
It's crazy. 50 meg internet just
You
doesn't
got
go
that good
anywhere these
internet where
days,
you're
boys.
from.
You would think I have like dial up by the way it's acting.
That's like Walmart
That's
internet.
what happens when you give
Napster. Good old Napster days.
Musk your for internet.
Oh no, this is the office. No, no Starlink here. This is just local shitty cable internet that
That's
runs
not
like ass.
it's not the Nazi internet.
No, I that would be running flawlessly right now, as it has for the last 3 years.
Oh, geez.
All right, folks. Well, Tony Baker is not here to keep us going till 5 o'clock, so I'm gonna wrap this up early today, especially since my internet sucks. So I will wind her down. Oh, somebody's selling something. All right, guys. Well, I'm gonna end it. You guys have a good weekend.
See you guys.
You as
Sounds
well.
good. See
See
you
you
around.
guys.
See ya.